Bags down, spikes on. Welcome to the track. Hi, my name is Colin Waitsman, and I'm going to be your host for this episode of Track World News. And man, do we have a lot of stuff to talk about, mainly the connection of track and field with football. Before we get into that, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, leave a review. Really helps us know that you're enjoying everything. And yeah, let's get into it. So now that the Super Bowl is over, it is officially that time of year again where football players start talking about how fast they are, who's better than who, how track and field is barely even a sport. It's that time of year. It happens every single year in February, right after the Super Bowl, because football fans have no idea what to talk about, and so now it's time to hop on track and field bandwagon. I am a track fan, so I am a football fan, so I definitely can see a little part of it. But having a lot of friends that are primarily just football fans and don't know about track and field, I can see where all of this comes about. And so just recently, we had DK Metcalf coming out and talking about how he actually plans on qualifying for the Olympics in 2024.
Is Olympics something that is like a goal of yours?
Yeah, for sure.
Like a legitimate one, not just like I want to go out there and try.
I'm not just running just to run.
Yeah.
I can do that on a track somewhere. No,
yeah.
I'm trying to go to the Olympics.
Okay, what's that process like? Like, are you starting that? Because, that's a whole...
Yes, I'm in a boot right now, so I can't do too much. But next year, I'm going to start back training for it every off season, training for the 100-meter or 60-meter, whichever one I decide to do.
Yeah.
And then in 2024, you'll see me again.
That is so cool. Like, it has to happen, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah, for sure. It's going to happen.
Yeah. Okay, I love the confidence.
So this comes as a shock for anyone that is a track and field fan, because he ran fast this previous year. Like he did well. He has never competed or hasn't competed since high school, and he ran a 10.37 at the Golden Games this past summer. And to put that into perspective, that puts him at he would have been 87th in the NCAA last year, and he would have been 119th in the United States last year. So, I mean, yeah, you're good. You're a top 200 sprinter in the entire country. That's fast to be able to say that, but you're not Olympic material, because in the Olympics, you've got to be top 3. And so to see what he would have to be at would be at somewhere around a 9.92. I averaged out what would qualify you for the Olympics in the United States over the past 3 Olympic Games. So back in 2020, 2016, and 2012, the average was a 9.92, the fastest being this past year where it was a 9.86 that qualified you for the Olympic Games. So this guy is gonna have to drop nearly half of a second, which is an insane amount of time to be able to do, especially when it's not like you're a high school kid that hasn't hit puberty yet, and then you're hitting puberty in the next 4 years, and you're going through all your changes and developments, you're getting a lot more strength, and then you're good. Like, he's 24 years old. Like, he has reached pretty much his athletic peak right now. Like, he's not going to be getting much stronger and faster. What he's going to have to be relying on would be improving technique. And sure, he'll be able to improve his technique, but is he going to be able to improve it by dropping his time down by half a second? I don't think so. So in my mind, like, his goal should be, like, and this would be his absolute ceiling, the very best that DK Metcalf can do, in my mind, is be able to qualify for the Olympic trials. So that would be a time of 10.05. Still insanely fast. Like, but I think that's an actual goal that you could have by 2024. I mean, it's not gonna happen, I don't think, but that's a goal that you could actually see happening. And now another goal that's probably a little more realistic would be qualifying for a U.S. national championship. That would still be a 10.16. So he's still gonna have to be dropping at least 0.2 seconds in order to even get in these conversations of qualifying for a USA championship and then eventually an Olympic trials or a world championship berth. And that's a lot, especially for a guy whose primary focus is football, as it should be. I mean, that's what's bringing you in millions and millions of dollars. Track and field, this is just a hobby thing where you're saying you just want to see if you can make it, see what you can do. And like, You can't do that. I mean, that like, think of it the other way around. If we have a football player or a track athlete, it's like, yeah, I'm just in my spare time, I'm going to see if I can do this football thing. And yeah, I want to see if I can make a Pro Bowl, just in my spare time, or I want to see if I can get elected, as a MVP of the league. I want to get in that consideration. Let's see if we can do that. Like, that's what you're saying. You're saying not only would a track athlete just try to make the league, like that would be, qualifying for some meets. You're saying you want to reach the highest level, which is essentially saying, yeah, I just want to try and be an MVP. Like, how about we do really well in our one sport first before you start talking about joining and doing other things? So it's crap. Like, it's not going to happen. Like, he's not going to be able to qualify for the Olympics. I think having a national team would be potential. I mean, if he said, you know what, I'm going to be giving up my football stuff and I'm going to be dedicating my life to try and qualify for the Olympics, then hey, maybe. But when half of your season is spent on football and you're 6'5", 250, 270 pounds, like you can't move that much weight in the 100. It's just too much. And so you'd have to be, really cutting a lot of weight to get it. And I don't think it's worth it, in the off season. So just more football players, talking crap on track. And it's that time of year again, that all this stuff happens. He also mentioned whether I want to do it in the 100 or the 60, qualifying for the Olympics. The 60 is not in the Olympics. It's an indoor only race. So shows he's really paying attention to track and field. But we move on. So the next one that we've got going on, some more football disrespect or track and field disrespect from football players. We saw Tyreek Hill. So Tyreek Hill is obviously Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver, Super Bowl champion, one of the fastest men in the NFL. He's been going back and forth with Usain Bolt, but this time it is not a Usain Bolt's really involvement. He is involved a little bit in this, but mostly it's not with him. Tyreek Hill says, this is on Twitter, I'm about to race everybody that calls me out. Let's go. And then in response to that, Trayvon Bromell says on Twitter, I got 10K right now in a 60. Winner takes home the dub. And Hill responds saying, where you at? And then Trayvon Bromell responds by saying, yo, I'll take you in at the 60, the New Balance track center that's going to be in Boston. Let's race there. I'll get your spikes. We'll do all that. Let's race there. And the whole track world was getting going right now with this because, it's exciting. We're seeing more people talking about our sport and we're getting involved even more with what's going on. And, yeah, I mean, I think this would be an exciting race to see. And then Usain Bolt chimed in talking about, when am I going to get involved with this? You're calling me out. And he's like, yeah, I'll race you after I beat Bromell. Like, we saw all this crossover we're seeing. And this is good for the sport. And this is a race that we're going to need to have happen. I don't know who it is that has to make this a thing, but let's do it. And then Race Take said, hey, I'll put 30K for the winner. So we got potentially $40,000 on the line, maybe even more for whoever wins this, 7-second race? So let's see it. But this thing goes deeper than just track and field, or this thing is deeper than just the fastest guy in the NFL versus one of the fastest guys in the world going at it. These two guys have history. So this isn't the first time that Tyreek Hill and Trayvon Bromell have been mentioned in the same sentence. They have raced several times before, both in high school and in college. And when you look at the numbers, you start to realize, okay, maybe this is going to be a little bit closer than I think it is. Because they've raced 5 times in the past, and Tyreek Hill has won all 5 times. And you're like, okay, well, maybe that's only 1 or 2 different races. No, they have raced in the 60. In the 60, Tyreek Hill has won 2 times to 0. Last time they raced, 2014. In the 100, Tyreek Hill is 1-0. That's back in 2012. Tyreek Hill is 1-0 in the outdoor 200, and then Tyreek Hill is 1-0 in the indoor 200. So that's 5-0. Now, obviously, these are races that happened a decade ago, so it's been a long time, and now Tyreek Hill is obviously just focusing in on football primarily, and Trayvon Bromell took the track route. But Tyreek Hill has speed. I mean, he's run crazy fast times before. In high school, Tyreek Hill was a better recruit than Trayvon Bromell was, But Tyreek Hill was a football player first, and so he decided to go and play football. He was running faster times than a guy that ran the world lead did just last year. But this other dude was also super athlete in football and decided to go play for the Kansas City Chiefs, and I don't blame him. So to say that Tyreek Hill is slow is just it's not the case. Like, he's got some serious speed, but the fact is he hasn't run seriously since his time in college back in, 2014, 2015. And so can we see, like, oh yeah, he's going to be still in that top spot, like he's still going to be one of the top people? No, he's not still going to be there, but he is fast. And so this goes deeper than just let's see two guys race. Like, I bet you Trayvon Bromell wants to get his revenge, because I know he knows that he's lost to Tyreek Hill. He's run 5 times and he sees this dude winning Super Bowls. Of course, he knows that he wants his revenge. I would too. And so I really want to see this race happen. I also want to hear a quote from him on, does he know, obviously, this history? Does he recognize the history that these guys have had? Have they talked since then? What's going on? So I want this to go. I want this to happen. My money's on Trayvon Bromell. Obviously, he's going to be the favorite. He should win, but it's still going to be a bigger race than I think some people know, because I don't think a lot of people realize that they've raced before. This won't be their first rodeo. Next, now I want to close things out with the United States National Championship that is going to be happening this upcoming weekend. So this is the indoor championship, and a lot of notable names are not competing. Mainly being some of these athletes just don't compete in indoors this year, and other ones just not competing at this competition. So in the 60, Trayvon Bromell isn't going. I don't believe Elijah Hall is going. Aaliyah Hobbs isn't going to be there. Fred Curley, Michael Cherry, Athing Mo, El Perrier St. Pierre. A lot. That's just a few. Matt Centrowitz. There's a lot. That's just a few that I'm thinking of right off the top of my head that aren't competing. But yeah, so there's going to be a good amount of athletes that aren't racing at this thing. So it's opening some doors for people to win national championships that probably wouldn't if this is outdoors or otherwise. And so let's go over my picks for a few events for the national championship. So these aren't going to be every single event, because we'll be stuck here for a while. So I'm going to go over the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 events that I actually kind of care about. So these are 9 events that I'm looking forward to and who I'm going to be picking to win the USATF championship for both the men and the women. So we'll start from the sprints and then make our way down to the jumps. So on the 60 side, Christian Coleman. Christian Coleman's the favorite, and I think he's going to win. He showed that he is back. He didn't run at Clemson when he was supposed to go against Matthew Bowling for whatever reason. Apparently he was, he felt a little something in his leg, didn't want to do it. I get that. So, I'm going to be picking him to win. Other people that it should be competitive with, we got Michael Rogers, and we have Marvin Bracey, and we also have Ronnie Baker. With Marvin Bracey, we haven't seen him run yet. He wasn't able to compete at Millrose when the first race was going to be happening. He wasn't able to compete in some other races yet, so we're not too sure what he's going to be coming in at. Ronnie Baker, he hasn't had the storybook season that we thought that he was going to be having. He had a really great breakout year the previous seasons, and just now he's going off to a little bit slower of a start, where it seems like Christian Coleman is really coming out firing. And so I got to go with Coleman. On the women's side, it's Mary Beth St. Price, and next I have as Micaiah Briscoe as the other potential person. But Price is just on another level. She's been dropping world-leading times week after week, and she's been extremely consistent in being in that 7-1 to 7-0, 8 or 9 range. Like, she's been in that range a lot. With Briscoe, she's been a little bit more inconsistent. She ran that 7:07 early on in the season, and since then she's been running around 7:15, 7:20, which obviously it's not a lot of time, but when it comes down to a 60, that can make a huge difference. So we're going with Coleman and then Mary Beth St. Price there. The 400, so got a few friends of the show competing in this one. Trevor Bassett and Noah Williams going up against each other. LSU guy versus the Division II hurdler from Ashland. And These are the last two people that I picked in the 60. They were the favorites to win, and Williams is coming in with the fastest time, and I think he's gonna win. I'm picking him. One, not because obviously I'm biased, friend of the show, cool dude, and also because he hasn't had a good season yet. Like, he's had two pretty bad meets from his standards. Obviously, he's a top tier guy. He wasn't able to run times that he was happy with, and I think that's going to fuel him to be able to be running this really good time at USATFs, especially when the door is wide, a little bit more wide open. You're not seeing Michael Norman. He's not competing. You're not getting Michael Cherry, like we said. Fred Curley's not in there. None of those people that were those major names at the Olympic trials and from last year's outdoors aren't competing. The door is pretty open for him, so I'm going to be going with him for the win on the men's side. On the women, I'm going with Jessica Beard. I think she's going to be able to pull it out. She's, I think, seeded third right now, or fourth, maybe even fifth. I'm not sure. I think she's fourth. Sorry, she's fourth. And then Quinera Hayes is probably going to be the biggest competition against her. She's got the better time. She's been a little bit more consistent, but we're going with the underdog here. So we're going with Jessica Beard. On the 800, I'm picking Isaiah Harris, Penn State guy, out of Maine, mutual friend of mine. So we're going with Harris from Brooks Beast. I think he's going to pull the upset against Hoppel and Brazier. We've seen him be able to get that like fourth place a lot, and he's gotten third a lot. He's been it's like the bridesmaid, but never the bride. And so I think that's when things flip. This year, I feel like is going to be his year. He's changed training groups, so he's going to be competing and training with a lot better people versus when he was just running on his own. So I think he's going to turn the tides, and this is going to be the first competition that he's going to be winning, coming in first place there. On the women's side, I got Ajay Wilson. So she hasn't been performing too fantastic this year so far. Hasn't had a ton of races, but she's got one of the best PRs out there. Probably the biggest competition is going to be Olivia Baker for her. She's coming in at the number 1 seed. Ajay Wilson is coming in at like 4th or 5th, but I think her experience is going to be able to really propel her to be able to get the win there. 1500, I'm going with Cole Hocker. So I'm not talking about the 3000, but Hocker and Tier are competing in that one. I think that Hocker's closing speed is really good, and he's finally going to want to be able to beat. He's going to want to continue his success from the Olympics this past outdoor season when he was one of the top guys in the 1500 outdoors. And so I think that he's going to be able to expand it this year. Even though he's coming in at like the 7th best seed already, he hasn't ran a whole lot. He ran to qualify. We all know he can run a lot faster. I'm going to be interested to see if he does both the 1500 and the 3000 and see how that affects his racing there, because obviously that can be a lot of mileage depending on where those races are going to be lining up. On the women's side, I'm going with Corey McGee. Probably the person that's got the biggest fight against her would be McLean. McGee coming in really well. I think she's the 2nd seed, so I feel that she's had a pretty good year for her standards coming into the 1500 with nationals. Love to see her bring home the championship there. On the 60-meter hurdle side, Grant Holloway. It's him versus the track. Like, there's no one that can beat him. If he loses, that would be the biggest loss of the year for easily. No, either him or Ryan. If him or Ryan Crouser lose, those are the biggest losses of the year. With Holloway, it could be a little bit closer because Devin Allen's going to be competing, and Devin Allen's really good, obviously. Made to the Olympics, 4th place, Diamond League champion. But he's just on another level in the 60-meter hurdles. Like, he just runs crazy fast, and I don't see him losing. On the women's side, I'm going with Gabby Cunningham. Kenny Harrison was going to be competing, but ended up scratching. I'm not sure if that's injury or what it might be. So I'm going with Gabby Cunningham. Probably the other person that could test her would be Alicia Johnson, but I'm going with Cunningham there. For the pole vault, so I'm going with Sam Kendricks for the men. The young guns with Nielsen and Lightfoot have really been taking over. Obviously, the American record went down. That was Chris Nielsen. And I think that Kendricks is seeing like, man, these young guns are testing me, and I am seeing that my stardom is starting to, go down a little bit. These guys are taking over the scene. I need to do something. I need to reclaim my top throne, and I think he's got the experience. He has the talent, obviously, and I think that he'll be able to take out the win. He's no longer the favorite right now. Like, the favorite's going to be Nielsen and then Lightfoot, but I feel his experience is going to be able to propel him and hopefully get a win there. On the women's side, so it's really a 2-horse race for the women's side between Morris and Najat. Morris has been a little bit more consistent this year. She has been injury prone earlier on. She wasn't able to compete earlier on this season with a little injury, but ever since then, she's been pretty consistent throughout. Najat, obviously Olympic gold medalist. She has been a little bit inconsistent this year, but I think this one's going to be really close, but I got to go with Morris, because of her consistency. I mean, she's been jumping really well this year, and I feel that's what's the biggest thing when it comes into who's going to win a championship. Like, who is the most consistent throughout the year? That's who it tends to be, the person that comes home with the championship. And then for the high jump, I'm going with Javon Harrison. I think he's going to win the double. I'm picking him for the long jump and the high jump, so spoiler alert there. But Harrison in the high jump comes in with the best lead, and I like to see him do the double again. So want to see that. On the women's side, Gabby Cunningham. Wait, did I say that? Sorry, Vashti Cunningham. What am I talking about? Vashti Cunningham. Jelena Rowe is probably the next best person, but Vashti is just on another level. Best PR. She's been very consistent. She's calm, cool, collective. I go in with Vashti. Those are like the favorites. Like, I was like, man, I really want to pick somebody else, but I don't see anyone beating her. And then going down to long jump, like I said, Javon Harrison I got. And then on the women's side, it's Tara Davis, and it's Tara Davis by a mile. Like, she can have a terrible day, and she is still going to win the national championship. There is nothing that I should really even continue to talk about it, because Tara is just so much better than the other competition in the long jump for today, for this indoor season. So we'll see. And then last one, triple jump. I'm going with Donald Scott with the championship over Will Clay. He's had a little bit more consistent year so far, has the better PR, and is coming off of actually beating him at Ocean Breeze just a few weeks ago. So I think he's going to be able to take that momentum and carry on and eventually get the win. On the women's side, I'm going with Katrina Orji. I say a name wrong every time, but I'm going with her. She doesn't have a mark yet this season, but she does have the best PR in the field. The other people that you could look at would be Tori Franklin, who's jumped 14.22, while Orgy's jumped over 14.50. So I have a feeling that she's going to be the one that's going to take home that. And then you can also say shot put Ryan Krauser. Ryan Krauser by a freaking mile. He could throw it left-handed and still be the winner. So let me hear, who do you think is going to win? Who did I leave off the list? Who got snubbed, whatever it might be. And then let us know also about football and track and field. How do you think they mesh? Do they go well together? Or is this just something that you want to hear be put to bed because you're just tired of it? Let me know. My name's Colin. This is Track World News. Hope you enjoyed it. You want more content? Go and follow us on Instagram. We got some breaking news that's going to be coming out pretty soon on new expansions to the channel and how you can get better content and exclusive upgrades and things like that. That's at Track World News on Instagram. But that's going to be it from us here. Have a good one. Peace.